This weekend brought unsettling news from the heart of the British countryside, as Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, was hospitalized after sustaining minor head injuries in what Buckingham Palace delicately termed an incident at her beloved Gatcombe Park estate in Gloucestershire. Welcome viewers to my channel. Please subscribe, like my video and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. While details of the event remain scarce, the palace emphasized that the injuries were not serious and that the princess is expected to make a full recovery. Still, the announcement sparked widespread concern, given Anne's reputation as one of the most hardworking and resilient members of the royal family, a woman known for her no-nonsense attitude and lifelong dedication to public service. For those familiar with her routines, Gatcombe Park is more than just a residence. It's the sanctuary where Princess Anne finds solace away from the formalities of royal life. Though she officially maintains a London residence at St. James's Palace, the Princess Royal has long preferred the peace and privacy of her country estate. Nestled in the rolling hills of Gloucestershire, Gatcombe Park is a vast property that reflects both Anne's rural sensibilities and her deep connection to the land. She shares the estate with her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, a retired Royal Navy officer who has been her steadfast companion since their marriage in 1992. The estate also serves as the heart of a close-knit family community. Anne's daughter, Zara Tyndall, along with her husband, former rugby star Mike Tyndall, and their children, Mia, Lena, and Lucas, all live on the grounds as well. Their home, Aston Farm, lies within the Gatcombe Park estate, creating a family compound that is as much about shared heritage as it is about privacy. It is here that the Princess Royal is often seen attending to her horses, walking the fields, and overseeing the daily operations of her working farm. To understand Gatcombe Park's significance to Princess Anne, one must first appreciate its remarkable history, a history that stretches back several centuries. According to Historic England, the estate originally grew from the manors of Minchinhampton and Avening. Following the dissolution of those manors, the lands were granted to Lord Windsor, who subsequently sold the property in 1656 to a man named Philip Shepherd. Upon Philip's passing, his son Samuel inherited the land, but when Samuel died childless, the estate passed to his brother, Edward Shepherd, a prosperous cloth merchant. It was Edward Shepherd who envisioned Gatcombe Park as it largely stands today. Between 1771 and 1774, under the guidance of architect Francis Franklin of Chalford, Shepherd oversaw the construction of the main house, a grand yet graceful country residence that reflected the understated elegance of late 18th century English architecture. Then, in the early 19th century, the estate came into the hands of David Ricardo, a prominent political economist and one of the leading figures of his time. Ricardo purchased Gatcombe in 1814 and commissioned the architect George Basavy to remodel and expand the residence around 1820. Basavy's enhancements included the addition of elegant single-story wings, a striking conservatory, and a classical porch, features that remain defining elements of the house to this day. With these improvements, Gatcombe Park evolved from a simple country retreat into a stately yet livable manor that balanced grandeur with comfort. Over the years, it would pass through several hands, each owner leaving subtle marks upon its history, until it eventually became entwined with the modern royal family. In 1976, Queen Elizabeth II purchased Gatcombe Park as a wedding gift for her only daughter, Princess Anne, and her then-husband, Captain Mark Phillips. The gesture was not merely a display of royal generosity, it was a recognition of Anne's preference for country life and her passion for horses and equestrian sport. With its 700 acres of rolling pastures, woodlands, and riding trails, Gatcombe offered Anne and Mark the perfect setting to raise their children, Peter and Zara, and to live a life somewhat removed from the intense spotlight that followed the monarchy. For many years, Gatcombe Park was not just a family home but a working estate. Princess Anne personally took charge of its operations, managing the farmland, livestock, and equestrian facilities with the same discipline she has brought to her royal duties. Her work ethic, famously described as tireless, has long been one of her defining traits. In a 2014 interview with BBC's Countryfile, Anne spoke candidly about her bond with Gatcombe, emphasizing her sense of duty to maintain and sustain the property. "It's really nice to come back and just be yourself in an area like this," she said. "Being able to take on a place like this, for me, I've got to make it work. This is not something that comes free, this has got to pay its way, otherwise I can't stay here." Her words reflect not only her practical mindset but also her commitment to self-sufficiency, qualities that have long set her apart within the royal family. Unlike many of her peers, Anne has consistently chosen a life grounded in work rather than privilege. Her days at Gatcombe are often filled with the same routines as any countrywoman, overseeing farm management, tending to her horses, and hosting the annual Gatcombe Horse Trials, an event that draws equestrian enthusiasts from around the world. Yet, despite the tranquility and structure that define her life there, the recent incident has served as a reminder that even in the peaceful Gloucestershire countryside, life can be unpredictable. The palace's decision to release only limited information has fueled speculation, though sources close to the family insist that there is no cause for alarm. Princess Anne, known for her stoicism, is said to be recovering well and remains in good spirits. Those who know her expect she will return to her duties swiftly, true to her reputation for rarely missing engagements, even in the face of personal setbacks. To her admirers, this episode underscores the quiet resilience that has made Anne one of the most respected figures in the monarchy. While other royals have found themselves entangled in controversies or tabloid dramas, Anne has largely avoided scandal, maintaining a reputation built on hard work, modesty, and devotion to service. Her life at Gatcombe embodies these values, a blend of royal tradition and rural pragmatism. For nearly 5 decades, Gatcombe Park has stood as both a family refuge and a symbol of continuity within the royal lineage. From its 18th-century foundations to its modern role as the Princess Royal's retreat, it has witnessed generations of family life, personal triumphs, and quiet resilience. The recent incident, though minor, momentarily disrupted that calm, but it also drew renewed attention to the remarkable woman who has made Gatcombe her home, a princess who prefers muddy boots to royal gowns, and who measures her worth not in titles, but in hard work and dedication. As Princess Anne recuperates, the gates of Gatcombe Park remain closed to the public, preserving the privacy of one of the monarchy's most grounded figures. Beyond those gates, however, the estate stands as a testament to her character, enduring, unpretentious, and deeply rooted in the English countryside she so loves. And as she recovers amid the rolling fields and quiet woods of her estate, the world is reminded once again of the strength, independence, and duty that have long defined the life of Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. The quiet serenity of Gloucestershire was momentarily broken when news spread that Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, had been rushed to the hospital following what Buckingham Palace described only as an incident at her beloved Gatcombe Park estate. The statement, brief and deliberately understated, left the public uneasy. It mentioned only that the princess had sustained minor head wounds, but no further details were given about how it happened. For many, the word incident carried with it a vague and unsettling mystery, one that stirred both concern and curiosity. The thought that something could have gone wrong in the peaceful countryside, within the secure confines of a royal estate, was difficult to imagine. Yet, in the stillness of that Gloucestershire weekend, something had indeed happened, something enough to send the hardworking and ever-dutiful Princess Royal to hospital care. Princess Anne has long been known for her indomitable spirit. To those who follow the royal family closely, she is a woman of action, discipline, and remarkable stoicism. She does not indulge in drama nor seek attention. That is perhaps why news of her hospitalization struck such a chord, because it was so unlike her to be the subject of concern. She is, by all measures, the family's quiet pillar, the one who simply gets on with the job. Whether in the midst of royal duties or the demanding rhythms of country life, she has always embodied an unflinching sense of responsibility. So when the palace confirmed that she was receiving medical attention, it was more than just a story, it was a disruption in the dependable rhythm of royal resilience that Anne has long represented. At the heart of this story lies Gatcombe Park, Princess Anne's treasured estate and the place she calls home. While she maintains an official residence at St. James's Palace in London, Gatcombe is her true sanctuary, a 700-acre expanse of rolling pastures, quiet woodlands, and winding bridle paths that reflect her love for the countryside. It is where she can trade the formalities of royal life for the simplicity of rural living. There, amid the green hills of Gloucestershire, she finds peace in tending to her horses, overseeing the farm, and managing the estate's daily affairs. Those who know her well often describe her as more farmer than princess, a woman more comfortable in muddy boots than in courtly gowns. Gatcombe Park has been part of Princess Anne's life for nearly half a century, but its story stretches much further back into history. The estate has roots that reach into England's past, long before it became intertwined with the royal family. According to historic England, the land that would become Gatcombe Park was once part of the ancient manors of Minchinhampton and Avening. After the dissolution of those manors in the mid-1600s, the property passed through several hands, beginning with Lord Windsor, who sold it in 1656 to Philip Shepherd. When Philip died, his son Samuel inherited it, but Samuel's death without heirs meant that the estate ultimately fell to his brother Edward Shepherd, a prosperous cloth merchant whose vision and resources would transform the land into something remarkable. It was Edward Shepherd who oversaw the creation of the grand country house that would one day become the Princess Royal's home. Between 1771 and 1774, Shepherd commissioned Francis Franklin of Chalford to design and build the elegant Georgian manor that still stands today. The architecture reflected the style of its time, symmetrical, understated, yet dignified. The house was not ostentatious, but it carried an air of refined grace, perfectly suited for the gentle landscape surrounding it. For decades, it served as a country retreat for families of means, a quiet refuge from the bustle of England's growing cities. Then, in 1814, the estate was purchased by David Ricardo, one of Britain's most celebrated political economists. Ricardo, a man of intellect and vision, commissioned the architect George Basavy to remodel and expand the property around 1820. Basavy's additions, single-story wings, a handsome conservatory, and a welcoming porch, gave the house its distinctive character, blending grandeur with warmth. Under Ricardo's ownership, Gatcombe Park became not only a home but a statement of cultivated taste and quiet prosperity. It would pass through several owners over the next century and a half, each leaving their subtle mark, but always preserving the estate's natural beauty and architectural grace. Its connection to the royal family began in 1976, when Queen Elizabeth II purchased the property as a wedding gift for her daughter Princess Anne and her first husband, Captain Mark Phillips. It was a fitting gift for a couple whose lives were deeply rooted in the equestrian world. Both were Olympic-level riders, and Gatcombe, with its vast open fields, stables, and bridle paths, offered the perfect setting for a family that lived and breathed horses. Here, they would raise their children, Peter and Zara, away from the public eye, giving them the rare gift of privacy within the royal orbit. For Anne, Gatcombe was never just a residence, it was a way of life. From the very beginning, she took on the responsibilities of managing the estate herself. Unlike many aristocratic landowners, she did not hand over the day-to-day running of the farm to hired managers. Instead, she rolled up her sleeves and took an active role, overseeing the agricultural operations, managing the livestock, and ensuring the estate's self-sufficiency. Her approach was practical and unsentimental. Being able to take on a place like this, for me, I've got to make it work, she told BBC's Countryfile in 2014. This is not something that comes free, this has got to pay its way, otherwise I can't stay here. Those words capture the essence of Princess Anne's character. She has never seen royal life as a source of privilege but as a responsibility, a duty that must be earned through hard work. At Gatcombe, that philosophy translates into a life of quiet discipline. She rises early, spends her mornings at the stables or in the fields, and often hosts the Gatcombe Horse Trials, an annual equestrian event that draws competitors and spectators from around the world. It is a demanding routine, one that requires both physical stamina and a tireless spirit, but it is also the kind of life that Anne prefers. The farm, the horses, the land, they all anchor her to something real, something far removed from the polished formality of palace life. Her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, complements her perfectly. A former Royal Navy officer known for his quiet strength and steady demeanor, he shares Anne's preference for privacy and understatement. Together, they led a life of deliberate simplicity at Gatcombe, far from the gossip and grandeur that often swirl around the monarchy. Their shared values, duty, discretion, and self-reliance, define their partnership, and their life in Gloucestershire reflects those same ideals. The estate itself has grown into something of a family enclave. Anne's daughter, Zara Tyndall, now lives nearby on the grounds of Gatcombe with her husband, former England rugby star Mike Tyndall, and their 3 children, Mia, Lena, and Lucas. The Tyndalls' home, Aston Farm, lies just a short distance from the main house, creating a rare sense of closeness within a royal family that is otherwise scattered across various estates. It is not uncommon for the Princess Royal to visit her grandchildren or to share meals with them after a long day's work. For all the formality that surrounds the monarchy, life at Gatcombe has always been strikingly ordinary in the best sense of the word, a family sharing laughter, work, and simple joys. That is why the recent incident struck so deeply at the hearts of those who follow her story. It felt personal, as though a rare moment of vulnerability had entered the life of someone who so often seems unshakable. Buckingham Palace's statement offered reassurance that the injuries were minor, and that the princess was expected to make a full recovery, but it did little to quiet speculation. What exactly had happened? Was it a fall during one of her rides, a mishap in the stables, or something entirely different? The palace's silence on the details was characteristic. It reflected the family's long tradition of guarding their private lives, even in moments of public concern. Yet amid the questions, one truth stood clear: Princess Anne's resilience would see her through. Those close to her described her as alert, calm, and already focused on returning home. Such an attitude is entirely in keeping with the woman she is, unyielding in the face of adversity, steadfast in her commitments, and more comfortable working through discomfort than resting because of it. Her life has been defined by service, more than 20,000 official engagements, countless charity patronages, and decades of dedication without complaint. A minor head wound, as concerning as it may sound, is unlikely to slow her down for long. Her return to Gatcombe, when it happens, will no doubt be quiet and unceremonious. There will be no grand announcement, no staged photographs, just a woman returning to her horses, her farm, and the life she built with her own effort. In that sense, the incident is not just a moment of alarm but also a reminder of what Princess Anne represents within the modern royal family. She is, in many ways, its conscience, the embodiment of duty without vanity, of labor without luxury. In a time when so much of the monarchy's image has been clouded by scandal, spectacle, and media scrutiny, she remains a figure of constancy and integrity. As the days pass and her recovery continues, Gatcombe Park stands as both her refuge and her legacy. Its rolling fields hold the history of centuries, from the Shepherd family's Georgian vision to the Ricardos' refinements, from Queen Elizabeth's thoughtful gift to the home that Anne herself has shaped through decades of hard work. The estate mirrors her own nature, enduring, practical, and quietly beautiful. Its fences, pastures, and stables are not just parts of the land, they are symbols of a life defined by balance between tradition and independence. The news of her hospitalization may have startled the public, but those who know her well are certain that it will take more than a minor injury to slow her down. In time, the quiet hills of Gloucestershire will once again echo with the sounds of horses galloping across the fields, of laughter shared between family members, and of the calm, steady rhythm of life that Princess Anne has so carefully cultivated. And as the sunlight returns to Gatcombe Park, shining across the Georgian house that has stood for centuries, it will illuminate more than just a royal estate, it will reveal the enduring spirit of the woman who calls it home. The following morning dawned softly over Gatcombe Park, the kind of serene English sunrise that bathes the Gloucestershire countryside in pale gold and gentle mist. The estate, usually alive with the sounds of horses, farmhands, and laughter from the nearby Tyndall home, felt unusually still. The news of Princess Anne's hospitalization had reached every corner of the grounds, leaving those who lived and worked there in a hush of anxious waiting. Yet even in her absence, the rhythm of Gatcombe carried on, for that was how the princess had built it, not as a monument to herself, but as a living, breathing estate that worked because everyone who belonged to it understood its purpose. Inside the main house, Sir Timothy Lawrence sat quietly by one of the large sash windows that overlooked the estate's rolling fields. He was not a man prone to displays of emotion, but his expression that morning carried a weight of concern mixed with calm familiarity. After years of marriage to Princess Anne, he knew her well enough to understand she would not want worry or fuss. If anything, she would scold anyone who treated her as fragile. The Princess Royal was not the type to indulge in convalescence, she viewed recovery as just another task to complete efficiently and without complaint. Yet, even he could not help but replay the previous day's events in his mind, the suddenness of it, the confusion, the hurried calls, and the drive to the hospital under the watch of discreet royal security. The details of the incident remained deliberately vague to the public, but those closest to the royal household understood that the injuries had been accidental. Gatcombe Park, though beautiful and tranquil, was also a working farm, filled with all the unpredictable realities that come with rural life. Whether it was a startled horse, a stumble near the stables, or an unexpected fall, no one could say for certain, and those who knew the princess best respected her wish for privacy. She had never been one to draw attention to herself, even in moments of vulnerability. For her, this was merely an interruption, something to be dealt with and